Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Psychic Tarot Show with Ashala here on the Beyond Mystic YouTube and Rumble channels, coming live every Saturday afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Lovely to see so many familiar friends and faces here in the chat. Hi, Tarot by Lupo. Hi, Margie and Sarah. We've got New Zealand, Arkansas, Yorkshire, England, Castle Rock, Colorado, Southwestern Ontario, June in Louisiana. Hi, everybody. Lovely to see you. Leon the Dane from Denmark. Welcome, welcome. Well, I'm really excited about looking at this week ahead. It feels, as always, so just sort of poised on the edge of our seats, aren't we? I don't know if you've been watching recently. Obviously, many of you have. So much incredible content coming through our channel from all our sources and resources that we're pulling together, and all of you in the chats. It just feels like we're at this phenomenal precipice, and I'm so encouraged that with all of our eyes watching everything, we're going to be always so informed and aware as new possibilities emerge, new timelines unfold, and so on. Yeah, hi Kim and Ursula, Suzanne, lovely to see you all. So before we get started, of course, as always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe here. Follow us on Beyond Mystic Rumble, or alternatively over here at the Beyond Mystic YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe there. And you can find me on the consultations page. Here it is. You can book a session with me, Psychic Tarot Card Reading with Ashala. Use the coupon code below to receive a 10% discount on that session. Love it. So let's jump in and see what the cards have in store for us today. We're looking at this upcoming week, which takes us from Saturday, the 25th of January, 2025 to February 1st. Hi, Robin in Tennessee. John from South Yorkshire. Oh, John that was born in West Yorkshire. So fun to watch your comments in the chats. White Rose from New Hampshire. Just feel like I've learned so much about the whole world, really, in these last few years that I've been connecting with people from our community who live in all parts of the globe. And it just feels like we're one big soul family, doesn't it? Hi, Jim. Happy Saturday to all. All right. Without further ado, let's check in and see what's in store for us. You know, as always, these are just, I call it massaging our imagination, and I also refer to that as the imaginations, where magic happens. So this is just a way for us to be reminded of little aspects of life that we can perhaps give a little bit more attention to this week. Well, gosh, we are off to a big, powerful start here. Okay, we've got in the house of self, great shake up, shake down. We're going to see what's around it before we get too concerned. You know, this is in the house of the ego and the personality. And when we are shaken down to our roots in our ego and personality, it's a lot more of an internal experience than it is an external experience. So there's so many different things that could be attributing to this, but it really is that parts of us that are rigid. You know, the Tower card is a lot about things that are rigid are going to be challenged. And I always see I imagine the strength of something like bamboo that is flexible. It's strong but flexible. This granite tower is vulnerable in the fact that it is so rigid. So we are continuing to need to, I want to say, almost like bump up against those parts of ourselves that are inflexible this week. And we may find them being challenged so that we have to learn to develop a new type of strength and strategy. Okay, let's see how this relates to the money world. Well, thankfully, in the world of our security and our resources, this feels like it's coming into some kind of harmonic balance this week. This is the healing card, the alchemy card. So we may be, even transitioning, right? This card, the angel, it's like a destiny angel that is showing us the importance of mixing different elements. So again, this could be a really good week to diversify your options. I know most of you have, but looking at different types of currencies, and interesting with precious metals this week because we have the gold cups and the silver. Sometimes people used to even say that this liquid going between the cups was mercury. So this energy of metals fluctuating, but also important to, diversify. So whatever that means for you, that could be relevant this week, adding into the mix the importance of balancing out. So financially, right now, this is looking not too bad. We'll see what the rest of the wheel looks like. Okay, Gemini, thoughts, creative imagination, ideas, communication. This is our renewal. It's a catalyst. So there may be something going viral this week. This is a catalytic communication. It's in the catalyst in the house of communication. So something spreading quickly. Let's see what's beside it to see how well aspected that is. Okay, so this is in our house of home. Interesting. When this card shows up in the house of home for a person that I'm doing an intuitive session for, I suggest that it's very important to look at having two home bases. You notice how this person is juggling between the two places. So the two pentacles, this is the two of pentacles card, and the two pentacles represent two different physical entities. Like it could be two people, it could be two businesses. It often represents two different homes. It might even represent going back and forth between two different countries. But, if this was in communication, it would be perhaps negotiations around buying and selling things. But because it's in the house of Cancer, which relates to our home, where we find our sanctuary, we could be, well, first of all, possibly traveling this week, and also looking at, we've got balance and diversification here with finances and also with real estate. So I know that it's not viable for everyone to have a second home or an alternative home base. But I do say this and have been saying it for a number of years now, that if you can create something, even some sort of, option A, option B, where you exchange or have friends, family members that live in a different area, there is just something about having plan B as a place to go to if things are challenged in the region you're in. This isn't, I'm not talking about total prepper paranoia here. I'm talking about common sense diversification and not putting all your eggs in one basket in times where we know there's going to be so much transition and transformation. It isn't about the worst case scenario, doom and gloom. This is really actually about common sense. It's very practical. All right, so interesting. let's see what we have in Leo. Aw, okay. So a little bit heart hurt here in Leo. The Leo has to do with our courage. It has to do with feeling that we've been seen, that we're being seen and received by the world. And you could be looking through a lens of self-pity this week. This really is a self-pity card. And, with this tower in the house of our ego, our personality is going through a great challenge. How do we redefine ourselves? What we used to think was going to be really important in our destiny might not look so important. We might be getting a little bit, I want to say, just, like not defeated in our emotions, but like discouraged. I want to see what's on the other side of this. Yeah, okay. It really does have to do with so much uncertainty. And, many of us, we want to be proactive. And yet it's hard to know how to maneuver proactively in the old way, in the way that was a lot about, okay, this is my destiny. I'm going after these things. These things are my passions. This is my purpose. I have so much assuredness. And, we have our government administrations they are declaring a lot of assuredness and a lot of confidence in their intentions. We can feel a little bit psyched out in the sense of, why do we not feel sure when these leaders of our countries seem so sure about their directives? And I want to suggest that there's a lot more lack of confidence under the surface than we realize. So if we're feeling this way, I think everyone is feeling this way. Our leaders are feeling this way. The people, our role models, the people we idolize, they're also feeling this way. And so it's hard to wait and not be proactive when we see a lot of action happening in the outer world. And we're like, well, everybody out there seems to, or, the people in charge, the people with the power seem to be going full tilt ahead and taking massive action. And yet we're being asked on a spiritual level to wait, to hold back and observe. And that is really tricky. It's hard not to feel like we've made a wrong turn somewhere, that we are, out of sync with reality, that why don't we feel like we can take action? We're going to get further into this, I think. I think we're on a theme here. So the hanging man in the house of Virgo. So this is a little bit of, it isn't about wanting pain and discomfort. It's not about being masochistic, but there is something about not having to have an instant answer for everything, to be okay in the unknown, to be okay in the discomfort. This is not a popular thing to say. I realize that. But, we have to listen to our heart. So the heart is sad this week. There's a lot of sorrow in the heart. And if we try to tell ourselves, I know growing up, I always heard that, pull up your socks, like, stiff upper lip, chin up kind of thing, right? And this feels important. Our hearts have wisdom to indicate to us that we need to pay attention and listen deeper, and not just, we want to act. So there's a lot of viral information going out, and we want to take immediate action. We want to go, like, directly into our narrative, and off we go. But there's a real feeling of waiting here. All is not as it seems. I know Janine has been saying this. All is not as it seems. There's layers, like layers of an onion, layers of complexity. And our hearts are actually a better determiner of what's real and what has real, sustainable, lasting value than our heads are. Our heads are just so crammed right now, right? We've had so much conflicting information, and yeah, it's like watching energy moving, watching what goes viral, what instigates that. I don't know, there's just something, it's almost like a big sociological experiment this week. Like we're all sort of watching the bigger picture is what I'm getting. Anyway, this is in the health area as well. And, this card, I often say it's similar to a yoga card. The character, the hanging man, is, he's in an inverted, what we call an inverted posture in yoga. He's hanging upside down. He's chosen that position. He's actually doing, those things that you have where you can put your feet in them and hang upside down. Well, he's on one of those sort of apparatuses. It's to gain wisdom and enlightenment. So there could even be something where we are working with practices like yoga this week. We're really working with just edging gently into discomfort, right? When you do yoga, it's not about like, oh, you're supposed to hurt yourself. It's about you're supposed to stretch just a little bit beyond your comfort zone, or just stay in a posture just a little bit, use your breath and stay there a little longer than you may feel comfortable with. There's something about that. That's in the air of health. That's Virgo. Virgo wants the details. It wants to get started on stuff. It wants to get solving the puzzle and fixing everything, but it's got to wait. So the details are all not surfaced yet, and we can't do something without all the pieces, is what I'm being told. Okay. Oh, Digibean, my brain is full. Can I go home, right? Yeah, like Blue Star is saying, agree, growth through patience. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for those reflections. And yeah, that is what's on the menu this week. There's what I love so far. We've already got 3 major arcana cards: the Tower in the House of Self, the Temperance Angel, the Healer in the House of Taurus, money, resources, security, and the Hanging Man in the House of Virgo. So what I love about these is that there is a lot about timing in all of them. There's a lot about the divine timing, and that we're having to feel our feelings. And if something doesn't feel right, wait, is what they're saying. Okay, wow. Oh, this is lovely, lovely, lovely. Beautiful. Okay, so across from that tower is the Queen of Pentacles in the House of Libra. Contracts, agreements, partnerships, really impactful relationships. So this is a very good card. It is about attracting things to us, like just caring for ourselves, waiting for things to shift. She's also a lot about, she doesn't run after stuff. She doesn't go out and chase things. She lets things come to her. So, and there is an energy with her about it's going to be worth the wait. It's going to be worth the wait. So she is, she's kind of just, in a way, I want to say, staying close to home, focusing on relationships, focusing on personal finance. It's beautiful. This is a very good card to have in that house. So, nothing, so far the feeling I'm getting is not a lot externally really extreme, but us feeling this waiting and this, kind of like parts of our narrative still coming apart. Definitely challenging. But what I used to say with the tarot when we see pentacles is they're really good cards. Not only are they about money and material resource, they're about health, they're about prosperity, they're about self care, the revolution of caring for yourself, of self love. And yeah, there's always something that can be done practically. So this could even be working on relationships, building relationship, possibly through shared investment or yeah, like it just feels like relationship values, traditional values are mending things this week, mending relationships perhaps being open to something really big could change. Someone could come towards you that you weren't expecting. Something from the past could emerge that you're like, yeah, that was unexpected. So let's see what else is around our Queen of Pentacles in the house of Libra. Okay, Scorpio. Aha, lovely, lovely, lovely. Six Swords in the house of Scorpio, death and rebirth, endings and new beginnings. I know I don't want to say death as in it really is about transformation and rebirth, things coming to a close, things starting. Wow, right across from the healer card, we have moving out of troubled water. So even though it seems like things are hanging in the balance, there is an energy of moving out of troubled water. So I'm very encouraged in terms of action with this card here in Gemini, this catalyst card in communication and ideas, and then this card of communication in endings and new beginnings, moving out of troubled water through clarifying communication. Really good, again, a good week to mediate and resolve things in relationships, in partnerships. So quite a lot more personal stuff. And just be aware when you're doing this week. You know, I often say to my clients, if you're feeling funky or sad or, maybe even a little bit depressed, and then you're connecting with friends or family and you're like, well, and they're adding to the problem because they're being miserable or whatever. It's like, well, yeah, because we're all in that. So there is something where we might all be in a bit of a funk emotionally. Our hearts might be hurting, but there's a real willingness to mend stuff. So isn't that beautiful? I love that. So it's a bit like feel the fear, feel the funk, and move out of troubled water anyway. Feel the funk and have the conversations that clear the air and anyway. It's sort of like feel the fear and do it anyway. Nice. Really like that. Really like it. Okay. Next one. Ooh, okay. Wow. We've got two pretty strong emotion cards here across from each other. You notice both these characters are dark. They're sort of, feeling a little bit dark this week. And this is a bit of an escapist card. It has to do, in this house position, it has to do with luck, expansiveness. We could be feeling a little bit like we want to escape. Some sort of escapism might be coming up. And there might even be a tendency to want to gamble a little bit. Interesting, what I'm hearing the guides say is probably what we need is a little bit of a cry. It might be with all this, with this emotional healing here and this emotional card, grief and sadness here. And then this, kind of, it's it's a card of potentially some emotional escapism. If you can find a way to, yeah, let things move you to a place where you let some of this grief out in a good way and you don't just go into escapism. Let's see what's on the other side of that, how we're going to work with that. Whoa. Oh my gosh. Okay. Right. There could be a little bit of morbid fascination this week with things. You might be suddenly drawn to some morbid topics, even if you're not a person that normally looks at that stuff. And so here's an interesting way, because all of this is feeling very much like we need some kind of um, role models or icons this week, something to focus on that isn't going down the dark path to morbid fascinations and stuff that's maybe a little bit going to pull us in the wrong direction, is what I'm hearing. So yeah, it's almost like you want to perhaps go back in your background of different teachers, leaders, but whether it be spiritual teachers or religious figures, anyone that you've drawn great wisdom and inspiration from. This would be like even looking at, you know, characters from mythology and so on, like the heroes. It's like we need to see some other version of heroic nature coming forward this week, because we're all perhaps going through a bit of an existential crisis. And, that just means a lot of, like, maybe losing a bit of faith in humanity and ourselves. And so interesting that it's important that you see, yeah, here, morbid, let's choose a nice cry instead, right? Yeah. And let's see if we can look at people that inspire us, be it, creative masters, classical musicians or artists, or anything that really like opens your heart and mind to the beauty and ingenuity and capability of humanity, the heroic nature of humanity. Instead of watching media that's morbid and draws you down into the darker side of humanity, if you focus more this week on maybe even choosing something that really opens your heart and you see the incredible courage of humanity. Now, it's interesting because I don't often see like recommendations around what we should watch or not watch. But when I do, the couple of times that I have over the last few years, I really see afterwards, wow, we went through a pretty potent node. And if all of us followed the way of going down the morbid fascination route, that would be unfortunate, because it would mean all of our collective energy would head that way. And so we know that a lot of us are kind of on what I call the thin edge of the wedge. We are like pretty highly actualized, higher frequency, conscious, evolving beings. And so if we lead the charge in a better direction, right, our energy is going to count for a lot. So it's not about don't ever look at that stuff, right? I suggest, even if you just find it coming on your feeds and you just seem to be surrounded by it, just bookmark it, earmark it for another time, not this week. Just say, okay, I will check that out. This isn't the time for that right now, because it's like we really need to pull together. It's sort of like they're showing this boat is rowing and they're saying, oh, don't all lead on that side or we're going to be like, right? So yeah, just going through another little crisis node. No biggie, right? We've been through so many of them. Okay. Wow. Okay, here's another big big potent one. Wow. Friends. Okay, so um, you also may see a lot of evidence of karmic payback happening this week. You ever had those experiences where you have a frustrating time with someone, either trying to explain something to them or, getting into some kind of conflict, and you see so clearly and they don't listen and all of that, and then, you think, oh, I give up. And then later on down the road, the exact thing that you either warned them about or um, were pulling in the other direction of, they end up having a really bad consequence for not listening or for fighting you or whatever. And it can be, I've often felt when that happens, I'm like, oh gosh, I didn't want it to be that bad, right? I feel a lot of emotion. We're going to have some emotion this week, people. There's going to be some like, wow, we used to have the little chant, instant karma is going to get you. Like, what comes around goes around. And even though we see that on some level, we're like, well, yeah, it was bound to happen. It's also hard to see when there's serious consequence for past actions. And and then there's consequence for people who are so innocent, right? So a lot of us are getting caught in the crossfire of some of those karmic interactions. So it feels like it's hard to really not feel very sad about karma, right? We've got that sorrow card across from justice. So justice is in the house of friends and networks and allies and community. There's going to be these rippling effects of karmic justice this week. And, it's time to really put on our compassion. Yeah, our compassion heart. Whatever that looks like. I almost got like t-shirts or sweaters or something. Like, just wrap yourself up in that compassion and send it out. Because I've often been shown also that when it comes to karma, we cannot figure out how that plays out through lifetimes. And it's best left to the lords of karma to resolve that, to the creator, because it's way bigger. It's sort of like trying to solve this puzzle. You only have one little tiny corner of it, right? So like seeing it from a larger perspective, but of course we don't have that vantage point here in our immediate reality in our life experience. So if we could zoom up and look at the big picture from this karmic perspective, it would make more sense. But we are here in it. We are here in it. Yeah. Right? Big reveals. Yeah. And Ashala is saying, I'm seeing this with others around me this week. It doesn't look pretty. Yeah. Karma is you know what? Yeah, right. Okay. So, well, I'm just looking at, where is it? Yeah, Rosie is saying, in our new world, you'll have your own little piece of heaven that you wish for. So, what I'm seeing and sensing as well is we have powerful healing capabilities. Powerful healing. And, there might even be a little bit of sharing whatever good fortune you have, find a way to share it, maybe not out in the world right at the moment, but with your closest people, there could be something really healing about gifting someone close to you. Because often when we're feeling really fearful and like we got to hold on to everything and we don't, there's so much uncertainty, it stops that flow. It's almost like the heart is blocked because the flow of generosity is kind of weak. And so they're saying, like, if you don't feel like you can be generous with the world at large, with your thoughts or your words or your material things, be generous with the people that are closest to you and share in some way. Yeah, that's really, really, really lovely. We've got quite a few major arcana cards here. I am really drum roll around what's going to show up in Pisces. Oh my gosh, another 5. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, well, I wouldn't say it's the easiest week, everybody. I mean, it's certainly not the worst case scenario either, but it's definitely going to be work this week to stay in the lane of stay in the lane of holding your heart and coming into compassion and dropping what you thought was going to be the way through all this. I'm going to go back and review the supportive cards and also the ones that could be troublesome so that we just have a reminder at the end here about how we're navigating through this week. And King of Swords at the center, he is, he's very discerning, real strategist, a real, big picture analyst. So observe this week, take stuff in and store it in your data bank is what I'm hearing, except for the morbid kind of stuff, and just store that in your watch list, wait list, right? But there's something about getting that big picture perspective that isn't there right now. We're going to feel a bit in the trenches this week. So I'm going to count the major arcana cards. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's quite a few out of a little, 12 card, well, 13 in the middle, but 12 in the wheel. 5 is almost, getting close to half of the 12. And there's only a third of the cards are major arcana. So it's more than average, right? It's more than an average amount. In terms of the majors, we've got Tower, Temperance, Hanging Man, Death, and Justice. So waiting, watching, knowing that we need to hold the balance and not go overboard into despair and morbid escapism or something like that. So that's that. And then let's look at a couple of the trouble cards. We've obviously, the Tower is just, I'm actually hearing we're loosening things up. There's still rigidity that needs to be loosened up, and this is going to be a week of loosening up. And if you fight it, because this in Pisces is like the subconscious psyching you out. This is where your old nervous system habits of negative self-talk come to the surface and start psyching you out. So you're going to really, in a way, hold court inside your own head and be like, no, I'm not giving you airspace right now. Like, wait, watch and wait. This is not a time to start making a narrative or a complete analysis, right? He's taking his time. We're going to be probably at least a couple more weeks, if not 2 months, in observing and taking notes, taking stock, and so on, before we come to our conclusions. We're all very trained to make quick, observations and quick conclusions. And this is not going to serve us going forward. over this next, well, couple of months, maybe even a couple of years. We're going to need to watch and listen and hold back, even if it makes us uncomfortable. Whew, okay. How are you all doing there, folks? All right. Yeah. Yeah. 6 major arcana cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's only 5 right now, but 5 is plenty. And it is also, we have 2 5s. The 5s are the chaotic number. It's the number of things are in motion. They haven't harmonized yet. We have 2 of a kind, it's mastery. So we're mastering the chaos of things being unsettled this week. Yeah. All right. So people are just bringing forward stories of, people that unfortunately are struggling, even if we've had issues with them in the past. Digibean is saying, I don't wish karma or harm, I'm guessing, on anyone, but you make your bed. Yeah. So, yeah, thanks, Blue Star. So, here we go. This is what the week looks like. I'm going to be really paying attention to this reading and taking notes. So the main points being this harmony with, it feels like finances, things that you can be working with while all of this is happening to kind of stay grounded. So working on, again, diversifying, investing perhaps more in precious minerals and so on. And then this beautiful mending stuff with close people. That, when I say close, I mean, this would be not just friends, really close friends or business partners or life partners or, close family. And in our physical realm, in our health, it was like, even a little bit of yoga, if that's your thing, or even if it's not your thing, just doing some stretching, moving your body, stretching, because remember, this rigidity, it's inflexibility. So there's going to need to be what we can get more flexible in our bodies. So if you've been putting off doing some practices that help you become a little more flexible, this could be a week to do that in your body. What you can do in your body, it actually affects your psyche. It does make you somewhat more. The flexibility is not about letting other people walk all over you and being a passive doormat. It's the opposite of that. It's having the strength to hold space and not react, not be an instant reactive person who can end up, going over the waterfall with the fight, right? It's like we want to be on that sideline and not reacting. We want to be watching, waiting for our moment to to be really effectively engaging as the world is evolving here. And even this, the effective engagement this week is with information and the viral thing with information. And we've been seeing that in the last few weeks. I've been like, sharing information, but not going down this morbid kind of stream. All right, everybody. Well, let's just touch back in over here. Of course, you can find me. I'm going to shift that. You can find me right here, book a session on the Beyond Mystic platform. Use this coupon code below and get a discount on that session. And as always, actually, before I forget, I want to let you know about my Dowsing Level 2 workshop. So this is just launched on the Beyond Mystic Academy. There is a coupon code 10% off with ROD, capital ROD, S10. So this is the workshop that I've just launched, and it is the level 2, taking your practice of dowsing to the next level. There is going to be a live Q&A session on the 23rd of February at 4. That's included in your purchase of this course, and I'm going to be taking questions on both dowsing level 1 and level 2 on that live Q&A. So in this level 2 dowsing course, we're going to be working with using the L-shaped dowsing rods to locate anything that you are looking for that's under the ground that you can't see. This is a fantastic way to actually find water, groundwater, which is not just about digging a well. It's actually about knowing what's going on underneath the land, below the building that you live in, the land where you have your garden or property and so on. It's really helpful to know about that, because in some cases, obviously, if you're looking for water to drill a well, it's great to know where it is. But if you're not looking for it, it's important to know if you do have underground rivers and streams below your property. It can be actually quite challenging for your health, just like having power lines running over your head. Having water underneath affects health, and there's things that you can do to repair that draining energy. Yeah, and then we're going to be looking as well in this course on how to clear energy using, among other things, your rod and your pendulum, the dowsing rod, the pendulum, as well as magnets, crystals, bells, different smoking materials like sage and things to smudge with, incense and scent and so on. So yeah, it's a very, very interesting course, and it was amazing to put all that information together. I mean, I've been a member of the Professional Dowsers Association for a while and have worked in this way on and off over the years, but it's really, really special to compile all my information and share it with you. And it really re-inspired me to do more of this work, to really learn more about the land where I live. We also look at how you can locate ley lines between finding them on the ground and also finding them on maps, and based on things like where certain churches and place names are located and all that cool stuff. So check it out. It's quite reasonably priced, and of course there's the discount coupon. So this has been an absolute pleasure, as always, to connect with all of you and to feel, as I was saying at the beginning, to feel this kind of unification in our collective strength. So as I said before, remember this week, you're not the only one that's going through this. And so, each time you say, you know what, I remember in the overview, in the psychic forecast, this was going to be tricky for all of us. If I can steer in a good direction, maybe that's going to give someone else a little bit more strength to do the same. So we help each other energetically, whether we realize it or not. I wish you all blessings, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you on the other side of this week next Saturday. Well, I'll be here on Tuesday with Meg doing the As Above, So Below show, and then again on my live Intuition Fridays with Penny Kelly. Those are so amazing. So I look forward to seeing you there as well. Have a beautiful week. Bye for now.